Are they really, are pyramids real or not real?
Okay.
Surely they're real when you go and see them, they look really real. So is this glass real? So a physicist will tell you that this glass is just atoms.
Just.
And the atoms, in an atom, there's hardly anything. All atoms are virtually nothing. And the nucleus that runs around in an atom is also sort of positive and negative energy. So an atom is virtually nothing, and this is made up of atoms.
Lots of them.
If you ask the physicist, is a pyramid real, he would have to be honest and say to you, well, it's real and it's unreal. It's there and it isn't there. So this is the dilemma for the seeker. The seeker enters a world of separation, and in the world of separation it is then in a story, the story of me. And in that energy of being separate and feeling that it's a me, that feeling of being me becomes very real. So the me, the child, grows into an adult and lives with lots of other apparent individuals in a world that seems full of stories of individuals. And of course the story of that me seems very real to that individual. So there's a feeling more and more as the person grows into an adult that the identity that is there is absolutely real. I am really a person. I exist and I'm real. And that energy within that story sees and experiences everything else as absolutely real. The individual might give lip service to the idea that there is the unreal, but the experience for the separate individual of seeing other things like trees and walls and people is that they are real. I am real. I am something that's real here. And what I see out there is something else that's real. The tree, the person, the sky is real. And it's something that's out there. It's apart from me. I'm here, and the sky is apart from me out there. I know there's a sky. I'm aware that there is a sky, and the sky is a real thing. And that is the dilemma. The dilemma for the seeker, living in this small world, this small story of me, is living in a state of dissatisfaction. Because what it sees, what it thinks it sees, what it projects out into the world and sees as separate, is not actually real. What it sees is the way it sees it, is that what it sees is not real. The sky isn't separate, the trees aren't separate, nothing is separate, everything is at one. Everything is at one. Everything is simply oneness. Everything is no thing appearing as everything. It originates from and is no thing. It's wholeness. It's complete already. And the dilemma for the seeker is that the seeker can't see that. So the seeker is constantly dissatisfied in the story. In the story of separation, the experience of separation brings dissatisfaction, unfulfillment. And so the seeker searches for fulfillment, and that may be wanting to comfort itself for seeming to have lost something, seeming to have lost wholeness. And so it comforts itself with money and power and all those other very superficial things. But also, for some people, they feel that that's not enough, and so they look for something deeper. And they might look for the answer to their fulfillment. They might try to find fulfillment through religion, or therapy, or seeking for something called enlightenment. But of course, the other thing that comes along in the story of me is, because the me feels that it is absolutely real, It also feels that it lives in something called time, which it feels is absolutely real. And that time, I was born, I am living, I will die, that journey, that path seems absolutely real and must have a purpose. The individual seeker that's separate feels that its life must have a purpose. It must be going somewhere called a better story or a better experience of life. And so, if it feels it has free will and choice, it also feels that it can find absolute fulfillment.
Hmm.
And so it also feels that it can learn how to find absolute fulfillment. So it goes to find a teacher in the story. That's all it can do. It can find a teacher which will say to it, yes, you are an individual, but you can find fulfillment because I have. And this is how you do it. You meditate, you self-inquire, you whatever. It's the list. It's a very boring list. But anyway, it's a list of things that you can do to move from A to B, to move from unfulfillment to fulfillment. You can have fulfillment. Nearly every teaching in this world that we live in, nearly every teaching is offering the person fulfillment, personal fulfillment, personal enlightenment. And so the seeker goes on learning to take steps towards something that it longs for. What we're talking about here today, what we're illuminating here and sharing together is the possibility that all of that story and that seeking for fulfillment is completely futile, utterly, completely futile. It's inevitably a hopeless mission. Because and the reason it is that the energy of separation, the energy of me, the individual, is an artificial construct. Mm-hmm. It's inconstant. It comes and goes. Every day it comes and goes. In the night, in deep sleep, there is no me. There is no story. But when waking up happens, then the me rushes in and fills the body with its story. And so the me, energy, is essentially moving round a circle, essentially living in a series of events. That's how it experiences being me. It lives in a series of events. So it's always moving, always on the move, and can never find that which is absolutely still, because it's moving all the time. It lives in a world of what will be, and can't ever comprehend what is. So we'll be sharing together concepts around that. And of course, as the me constructs itself, so it constructs ideas about itself. Essentially, separation is energetic, it's embodied, it's felt in every cell in the body. It's a feeling that is lived. But what it also does is it constructs ideas about its own nature. What can happen here, what possibly can happen here, is that those ideas about what I am or what the me is can collapse. But that's only a very superficial part of what's going on here. What we're going to talk about together is conceptual, but the most powerful thing that goes on in these meetings when there's an openness to this is the possibility that the contracted sense of being separate can unfold and dispel into boundlessness. All there is boundlessness. But it's no one's boundlessness. This message is no one's message. It comes out of nothing and falls back into nothing. And in the end, when the whole illusory story of self and me collapses, all that's left is nothing. All that's left is nothing and everything. There is no one left in liberation. There is no awareness. There is no knowing. All there is the wonder of beingness for no one.